Hello, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Good. Thank you for making the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So, first of all, congratulations. We spoke before. It was 2018. I interviewed you for Candid Magazine, and I called the "Lighting Our Fire" Oliver Stark.
So
Uh,
I just saw that because obviously you did that Instagram post, and so I put it on my story and I scrolled up and yeah, that's so lovely. So I'm
but
I'm
it's
happy
good
we're
to
here
speak
again.
with you again, then.
A
And
long time coming.
yes, a long time coming. But congratulations on everything. Season seven, so cool. I continue to love this show too. I gotta say too, just as a member of the LGBTQ community, I'm very grateful for the story you tell here with Buck. So thank you. I speak on behalf of many when I say thank you.
Yeah, well, I'll take it. I feel very lucky to get to be a part of telling it, and
Yeah.
it's had such a lovely reaction that yeah, it's kind of overwhelming to be honest with you, but I'm very, very happy to be a part of it.
Well, so no, we're seven seasons into 911, now on ABC, was on Fox before this. You continue to play Evan Buck Buckley. As an actor, what continues to interest and motivate you most about telling these larger than life stories on primetime television?
I think it's kind of what you just alluded to there, right? We get to tell these stories and they speak to people in different ways. Um, these are characters who are more than anything tools of representation to have stories told through them, and if we can keep moving the story forward and tell stories in an interesting and authentic way that then an audience member can sit down and see something of themselves in and feel like they're seeing a reflection of themselves, then that's exciting for me as an actor because that's connection to the audience and it is making work that says something and has a purpose.
Absolutely. Last week was where the whirlwind happened. We're 100th episode, huge milestone episode. And then at the end of it, we see Buck have this first on screen kiss with Tommy, another man, which, was big on social media. So, what are your thoughts on Buck's evolution to this point? Was this being talked about on your productions or was this like a new seventh season kind of creation?
Sure. So officially, it's a newer creation. But I think what's been really fun is, myself and Tim Minear, who writes the show, to kind of look back across the seasons and go, no, there have been breadcrumbs to this for a long time. And whether those have been intentional or not, I don't think even really matters too much in the moment. The story has been telling itself, and even on a subconscious level, it has been leading here, So it's something that, as I say, officially only came around this season. But I think what's lovely about the DNA of this show is that if you do look back, Buck is somebody who has been looking for his identity. Um, he's had a womanizing past, and he's just been trying to find himself in all these different avenues. I think probably unsure of what was missing until I was going to say hit him in the face, but more to the point, kissed him in the face, and kind of opened up his world. And he had this moment of, oh, that's the thing that I've been looking for.
Absolutely. And last night's episode, which was a new episode, you have the part where, in so many words, he comes out to Maddie, his sister,
Mm.
Jennifer Hewitt. He comes out to his best friend and colleague Eddie, played by Ryan Guzman, and he slowly finds himself more comfortable to pursue his interests in Tommy. How did your approach of these scenes making sure it felt genuine and there was care with the messaging, but also to not make it seem like such a big deal in today's times?
Yeah, it's striking that balance, right, where we want to tell this queer love story, and that's a huge element of it, but we want to tell it just as human beings and not focus too much on that aspect. So it's finding a balance, right, between giving it its importance, but also saying that this is no different. Um, I have such great relationship on screen and off screen with both of those people that our scenes are always going to feel connected and loving, as they should between those characters. So I think it was just finding a place where the scenes felt supportive, and of course there's some element of surprise, but that's all it is, surprise. It's not shock and horror, or it's just, oh, that's new. But pretty immediately both of them are great as long as you're happy. That's all that matters. as you know, it should be, because Buck is just pursuing the things now that make him feel good, and he's being open to that and letting it flow through him.
Yeah, I have to bring up just really quick. My favorite scene of this last episode was when Maddie says, when did you realize you're going to be leaning into
Mm.
guys? And Buck goes, sure, I'll check out a guy's ass, but that's normal.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's such
Which
a
again, it's just showing that there have always been this thread, and look, Buck is here now, and as a bisexual man, and it's not something that the story is not that, and this is a thing that has been leveled at me on social media a little bit over the past couple of weeks, of you've changed this character from being straight to gay, and that's not the story we're telling here. We're telling that Buck has always been a bisexual man. He is just not had the capacity to maybe process those feelings or understand those feelings, and for various different reasons that we could go into. But
sure.
yeah, it's not a change. He wasn't straight and now he's bi. He is just uncovering more about himself, and the fact that he's doing that now in his 30s, I think, is a really cool story to show that you can discover these things later in life.
Yeah, and he's speaking and acting on them now. He may have always had them in his mind somewhat, but now he's actually pursuing the possibility.
Yeah, and feeling supported and safe to do that,
Yeah.
which I think is a huge step and just a really positive and lovely thing to show.
Yeah. So, Oliver, were you given any bit of a say with the 911 writers and producers on how you, as an actor, and your character Buck would ultimately take, this developing new storyline on towards?
Yeah, so Tim Minear is very collaborative, and this was definitely a story that was pitched to me rather than shoved upon me. He called me earlier in the season and said, "I have this idea for Buck. What do you think?" And honestly, it was immediate for me. Yes, absolutely, I love it. It felt like the correct step, and I have spoken on this a little bit before, but I think it's important to reiterate. I almost was making a decision this season and had never communicated this to Tim, but that was a side of Buck that I do think has been there for a long time and was going to lean into regardless this season. So when Tim called me and pitched me this, I said, well, that's great, because I am already making moves to play him that way. So yeah, I was really excited, and then it was definitely a case of a lot of things lining up correctly to be able to bring the story to 911.
Absolutely. And obviously, you've seen the good majority of these 911 fans celebrating this storyline across social media. Could you have ever imagined, when you were working with your team about putting this to the screen, that it would have this type of response?
I try not to think too much about the response.
Sure.
Um, I think it can be a dangerous road to go down when you start thinking about the impact it could have. And I think that the way that it, in fact, has the biggest and the most positive impact, which is what I'm seeing here, is to just focus on telling the right story, right? Telling the most truthful story. Um, I think if you get too caught up in how is this going to be received, is this going to be a big deal for television, or anything like that, I think that's um, centering yourself a little bit too much, maybe, and think you're just being concerned with the wrong things. I think for me, the most important thing was just moment to moment find something that felt truthful and authentic, and I think that's what ends up connecting with the most people, and the response has been beautiful. Like, I can't tell you how many wonderful messages I've received from people who are openly queer and people who are not openly queer, which has been really amazing for me to see. Even with the specificity of, I've received messages from firefighters who have said, "I'm not out," and seeing this means the world to me.
Wow.
I could never in a million years have expected to be getting those messages. And so yeah, it's very humbling, and just a really amazing experience for me to get to be a part of that.
That's amazing. That's good to hear, Oliver. So you also, I want to commend you. I really liked what you posted on your Instagram story on April 6th, following this kiss, to express your gratitude to supportive fans, but also address any negativity towards Buck or the show.
Mm.
You said if one other character finding a new facet to his sexuality and realizing his bisexuality is your deal breaker, I fear you've missed the entire point of the show. So why was it important for you to address this and defend not only Buck, but your creative team at 911?
I think it's just the truth. That if that is what pushes you over the edge and you don't want to watch the show anymore, that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, prior to that part of the quote, I think what I said was, and it's true that this is a show that has always had a diverse spectrum of the queer community and been a show about love and inclusion. And if you've missed that, I don't know what you've been watching, you know? And so the reason that I posted that was kind of twofold. One was to let those people know, if you have a negative opinion, listen, that's fine. You can't change anybody's opinion online, right? We're all just shouting into the void, but that you can do that, and that is the void. It doesn't bother me. But then the other hand is I wanted to say that because I want people who are part of that community to know that I'm so proud to be representing the story, and there's no part of me that has any shame or concerns about telling this story. That I think it's a wonderful human story to be able to tell, and that I honestly do not care if anybody thinks differently to me in that. Then go watch something else.
Yeah, absolutely. And being 7 seasons into a show that you started from the very beginning, you were in episode one. You've been there from the beginning, Oliver. I'm sure you can agree that characters and storylines can become stale after time. So, did you feel like this development was maybe a way to have a fresh take on a character and your acting as Buck?
Yeah, absolutely. You play the same character for 6, 7, moving into 8 years. Obviously, there are going to be changes and evolutions. And Tim Minear had stepped away from the show for a couple of seasons to focus on 911 Lone Star. And when he came back, one of the things he said to me was, I think Buck has been stuck on a bit of a hamster wheel. Um, I want to bring this story. And it was feeling his excitement to tell this story was also a huge bonus to me, because you want to feel that your writer is excited to write for your character, and so I just think everybody was excited to have this be the next evolution of Buck, and really move him forward and open this whole world of possibility up for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And as season seven continues onward for 911 Oliver, where do you hope that Buck goes with his interest with Tommy and embracing these perhaps newer feelings that he seems to be having?
Yeah, I just hope he continues down that path, and I think we will see him opening up more and more and being louder and prouder about it. And I want to tell real stories, right? Where so not everything is always going to be straightforward, but I don't want the angst or the trauma to be in these kind of negative tropes that we've seen before, right? I want them to have real world problems that couples or people who are first dating have,
Mhm.
but I don't want it to be rooted in outside people being homophobic or anything like that. Those are stories we've seen and we've told, and sure, of course, happen in the real world. But I want to tell a happy story between these people, and a real story. So as I say, that they have issues and they have things to deal with, but I just want them to be real world, everyday relationship issues.
That's good to hear. So then, lastly, Oliver, after embodying Buck over these 7 seasons so far and seeing this exciting yet understandably emotional moment he is having, what would you, Oliver, say to Buck to show him some extra support or comfort right now as he figures out his path ahead?
I think I would just remind him that he's very loved by all of those around him. Um, I think when it comes to support systems, this show portrays this found family that is so strong, and that he could really lean on anybody in the show and they would have his back. Any member of the 118, Maddie, Chris, even, he could really, he's well supported, he's well loved, and he's moving in the right direction.
Yes, well, he's loved by us as well. So, congratulations, Oliver. Great work. I'm actually going to do something that I never do as a journalist. I have two headlines for your article. I'm going to let you choose
Mm.
the headline. So,
Okay.
so it's either actor Oliver Stark opens up about his 911 character's journey, or you could put evolution, or the other one is actor Oliver Stark reveals what he would say to his 911 character?
First one.
First one? Okay, do you
Yeah,
prefer
I think
journey
so.
or evolution? So character's journey or evolution, which word?
I think journey.
So I have first too, so we're gonna stick with that.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, great to speak with you again, Oliver.
Yes,
Congratulations
and
on
you.
everything with 911.
Thank you.